This is the Conscious Radio Network.
All right. Welcome to Conscious Radio Network series, Unlocking Mysteries of the Universe. I'm your host, Reverend Dr. Paul Mekas. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you might be on this spaceship we call Earth. If you're new to this ship or fleet, please click subscribe, like, share, or comment. You can also listen to us on Libsyn. We are now sponsored and presented by Libsyn, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Google Podcast, and soon Apple Podcast, and any Starbase near you. Today, we have Ed Edwards, creator of the Unforeseen Force, and his partner, Lihi Introp. Did I pronounce that right?
Yes, perfect. Lihi Introp.
Oh, there we go. As a young boy, Ed played with energy, working with it between his hands. With a passion for science, he sought to help the scientific community in 1994 to try to measure this energy field and studying its source. Could it be the brain? We'll talk about that. We've seen some of his work on the History Channel's Ancient Aliens episode, The Alien Brain. He's been working with Lihi Introp and studying the effects of this resonant energy with B.I.R.E, which is Bio-Intrinsic Resonant Energy. What is the source of this energy, and where can this research lead us into discovering our hidden potentials? Let's welcome Ed and Lihi. Welcome to the show.
Hello.
Hello. Thank you for having us.
Yes.
You're
Glad
very
to be
welcome.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
there is so much stuff to talk about in 1 hour. So, I don't even know where to begin. But as far as B.I.R.E, as far as B.I.R.E, biointrinsic energy, biointrinsic resonant energy. Explain a little bit about that.
Okay. First, it's pronounced BIRE, B-I.R.E. Okay, which stands for Biointrinsic Resonant Energy. That is a scientific term that Dr. William Levengood, Dr. John Getty, Charlie Plyler, and then some other scientists kind of worked in together, coined up that term to give what Lihi and I do a definition. It's like, Reiki's Reiki.
Yeah.
Well, we're BIRE. Okay, so BIRE, and this is from lab studies because we're under studies. Lihi and I both are being studied at the University of Virginia DOPS lab, the Monroe Institute with Dr. Ross Dunseith and Dr. Edward Kelly. Also, we're under study in the Biophoton Bioenergy Emissions Lab with John Kruth at the Rhine Research Center.
I've heard of that.
We've been under study. Lihi joined in with me in 2019. I started with Dr. Levengood in 1994. And so the whole process has been to study this energy. Where does this energy come from? How do we generate it in our bodies? How do we create a measurable field of energy? And then how do we transmit this energy? How is it we can sit right here where we're at, and then we can mentally produce a measurable signal of energy that will record on instrumentation hundreds of miles away from us?
Wow.
Okay, so it's that same energy like that we also use when we do our healing sessions and stuff. We focus the energy out, we resonate it in our brains. And then the research studies that have been conducted on us, the more recent ones, the advanced EEG brain mapping studies, they'll have us, hook us all up with the EEG helmets and everything. And so they study us. They have a little computer that says activate or focus. That's when we focus it. We run the energy for like 48 seconds. And then it says rest for 48 seconds. So they have us turn our brains on, keep it on for 48 seconds, and then turn it off. And we do hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of those trials. Like that. And so through those trials and efforts, Dr. Dunseith, he wouldn't tell me for the first year and a half what we were doing. And finally, when they broke down and went public about it, he said, well, we've been doing at the University of Virginia and all these advanced EEG brain mapping studies since the 1970s. Until you two walked into the lab, everyone so far up until now was only using one level of consciousness. We've had meditators in there that would meditate, and we'd watch them shift it from alpha to beta or other levels, but only one level at a time. But the amazing thing about us, when we crank our energies up, our brains are spiking at all levels of consciousness. And then they plot it out, map it out. So this part of my brain's in alpha, this part of Lihi's brain's in delta. I mean, each of our parts of our brain are operating at a different level of consciousness simultaneously. And that combination of using multiple levels of consciousness is what allows us to generate the BIRE field and project it out to everyone. So in a few minutes, we'll give everyone a demonstration that will record into this audio video and will work every time people replay it in the future.
Huh.
Yeah. And I just want to add, everything is vibration, frequency, and energy, and the consciousness of it. So with people that are using the one level of consciousness, which is like linear time, 3D reality, it's really in a state of charge, duality, and emotions. And so when you're just using that state of consciousness, that one state of consciousness, you're not able to go into the totality of who you are, into the flow of who you are, to the ebb and flow. Your whole reality starts to change. And that's when you can have access to all beings.
Yes, and we believe everyone should be doing this BIRE. Everyone should have been woke up, born up into it, born with it, and utilizing it their whole lives. But from what we can determine, it was systematically conditioned out of people, starting back in 1469 by the Roman Catholic Church. They had people called pagans back then that had special abilities to do things, but the Roman Catholic Church wanted to have power over the people, and they needed to destroy those abilities in them.
Yeah.
And the only way to destroy it was to stop the children from playing with the energies. You had to stop it in the children so that their brains did not develop these abilities as they matured into adulthood.
It's similar to, it's kind of similar of what they've been doing now. Now they would consider, if you're talking about the pineal gland and calcification of the pineal gland, it's like, oh, that's conspiracy theory. But at the same time, it's like I've been looking a lot into consciousness studies and the reactivating of the pineal gland and
So basically, everyone that was born, you and everyone else, y'all were born with these abilities that Lihi and I are doing. But somewhere around the first or second grade in school, through religion, education, parents, and everybody, you were told, don't play with that in your hands. You're imagining things. No, you're not really feeling things. It's not really there. We were.
And that's how doubt and fear and separation from, the truth of who you are, comes into play. It's like, they call it the terrible twos, because, the terrible twos they're fighting for their spirit. They're fighting for the or don't do that. That's not right. That's, any little thing is a disengagement from using all of your brain functions.
It's like us resisting that 2 to 3 year old point in our life. It's us being forced to resist the separation to the source.
That's right.
Yes, and that was deliberately controlled into people to make them primitive.
Control and greed and egoic power.
The lizard brain.
We believe that when children come along into the world, we ought to be reinforcing these abilities, teaching them how to use this. It's fun to teach children how to get in touch with their own abilities and energies and watch them start playing with it.
Yeah. And what's
Yeah.
amazing too, it's not amazing, it's expected. But look how Hollywood has got so many movies out there about this. And
Yeah.
they've made them horror movies, suspense
Hmm.
thrillers, horror movies, when it shouldn't be a horror movie. They need to
Yes.
change the genre.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, we're going to have to show them what it really is.
Yeah.
And so Lihi, like I say, she grew up with the awareness of the energy. Me, I had a grandmother of the Cherokee lineage. She had 30% in her that did hands-on healing. So she cultivated this in me as a little bitty kid, and then
Yeah.
reinforced it to where I made it on up into 7 and 8 years old without the religious communities and all beating it, conditioning it out of me. She kept it reinforced until I got past the point to where they could not convince me I was not doing it. And so
Yeah.
I was kind of a mischievous kid and growed up with these energies all the way up through school, through everything. But science was my favorite subject. And I couldn't find any explanations for this. I couldn't find anything other than grandma saying it was like the Holy Spirit working through us. Or so
Yeah.
grandma didn't have the scientific understanding. And so I kept reaching out, trying to find out things. Physics and science was my favorite subjects in school, but yet my physics teacher had no knowledge of this.
Mm-hmm.
And all the other scientists and doctors I taught, oh, we don't even know. That ain't something we study yet, blah, blah, blah.
Mm.
And so I went through up until into my 30s there. And then one night I was watching 2020 with my grandparents, and Dan Rather had Dr. Levengood on there for just a little 5-minute little brief
Yeah.
about the charge density pulse recorder that Dr. Levengood and Dr. Getty had invented to study pain signals in the nervous systems of people. It was so sensitive, it would pick up the nervous system's energies and stuff. And so after that interview, I was watching the bylines and everything, and I saw that Dr. Levengood was in Grass Lake, Michigan, and I managed, back then we had, dial up, call up phone information service, and you get somebody's phone number. I called it up. Sure enough, he was listed in the phone book. Okay, so I called him up, had a nice little chat with him, and he was studying people and stuff. And I told him about my life and growing up and everything, and asked him if his machine would measure it. And then he told me, "Well, I'm really skeptical. I don't believe there's anything special about you or anything other than you're just a little more aware. But if you come up to the lab, I'll measure you. We'll see." So I got up to.
I've got an interesting question because everybody's probably going to ask this. Have you encountered any connection with those who want to suppress this? The men in black, so to speak?
Well, not men in black, religious. Religious organizations. They frown on me.
Yeah.
They frown on this. They don't like this.
Yeah. And for me, he saw the limitations of his physics teachers and the science teachers because they weren't working with what was really going on. They were working from a very limited place. Yeah. And I also saw everything here growing up. Like I was like a character here. It wasn't really who I was. I was fitting to the external reality. Because I didn't know exactly what to do, but I knew that this wasn't really the situation. And I have also said that growing up as a teenager, when you start to kind of, bloom and grow and everything, you have a different relationship with the outside world. Boys were going, oh, and I would just respond, but it really wasn't who I was. And I just started seeing when I would look at people, I would see who they are, but yet they could be angry with me even, but I would see the whole gamut. I would see the unseen and I would see the seen. So I always had this, and it was confusing to navigate as a younger, individual. But I was always very, very interested. And I would have these responses from other people because I would tap into from reflection, just by being who you are, they would be able to connect to that, you know what I mean? And so they were drawn to that. Then I went into, so I also saw love and relationships as very limited. I didn't understand the whole marriage component because mostly marriage has been, as this is how I see it, or connections is really basically coming from what do you have in common? What is your history? Oh, I like the way you look. Oh, you're this, you're that, you're smart, you're funny. But I just saw it as limited, and I've never been married. Not that it's good or bad, but it's just never, because everybody that was really drawn to me, I adored them and I loved them, but I didn't see it as infinite. To me, marriage
Yeah.
was very sacred without thinking it, you know? So to make a long story short, I think, not I think, I know, with what Ed and I are doing, accessing, you know, all these levels of consciousness at the same time, you start to kind of connect with people and you start to kind of have a different experience with every single moment that you're connecting. Because you're seeing it all. And if other people are picking up on that and learning how to do this and are practicing this way of being, it's a whole different way of relating. And I also worked I'm still working, over 25 years in the mental health field. Always saw that as limited because they were working with the history and how to change it and how to view it. So to me, it's basically like changing the furniture in a room. You know, you're making it better, but it's not going to that infinite place. I also working in a psych hospital, they would have people that would have nervous breakdowns. They would have a nervous breakdown because it wasn't working for them. They were not aligned with what was going in here and going out there. So you come in, you get medications, you get this and that, and go back to your fixed life.
Yeah, it's like a resistance to the frequency.
It's a resistance to the frequency. And I would feel that, you know. So I would always see these things that they weren't really, they were managing it maybe considerably. Or I would even see the professional staff, you know, and the patients, and I would say, who's the one that's limited, you know, here, you know? So it's basically also learning how to use these energies and learning how to work with your well-being. Schizophrenics, you know, they're accessing different realms, but because they don't have a place to navigate it in here, and we're not, as a humanity, in the mental health field hasn't accepted it. So there's a whole gamut of how this reality can look like using BIRE. So it's really incredible. And then not only this reality, other realities, you know, alien realities, you know, and stuff like that.
Yeah. And speaking of aliens, I think we all know by now, especially anybody who watches and listens to this show, is that the industrial military complex has been experimenting on this stuff for years, for many, many years. PSYOP programs, MK Ultra. I mean, using the human psyche and using our innate powers has helped them, but also at the same time hurting us. So have you seen within your studies and the establishments that you're working with, do you see that we're about ready to maybe bust through that next wall to where this is going to be a lot more accepted and not something it's used as a weapon?
Now that we have programs like we're on with you and other science programs we're on and other things and stuff, we're showing and demonstrating this energy because we can implant it into the audio video here, and then it will have the same effect in the future on people as we'll do here in real time for you.
Right. And that's been happening. So it's kind of the unseen force, right?
It's the unseen force.
So it is. I mean, things that I wasn't able to say 7 years ago, I could say anything now to people. So people are really, it's ripe.
It's ripe. So why don't we go ahead and give them a demonstration here so that people know what we're talking about?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So we know that this is recorded, but it works just as good in the recording as it does in real time. And we're going to give y'all a little demonstration right here, me and Lihi projecting the energy out. So if we could get everyone in the audience in the future there to stand up for us. And I'm going to
in the future and in the present.
Yeah. I'm going to stand up if Lihi
that includes
will.
Me?
Yeah, if you're able to.
Yeah. All right.
If you're able to. And if we can do that right there. Okay. So
do I need my microphone? Do I need my microphone?
Pardon?
I don't think I need my microphone.
No, you're good. You can just kind of nod and stuff.
All right.
Okay, so we're resonating our energies right now, getting them built up. So it's just like a vibrating system that just keeps building power. So as we build this, and so we got all levels of consciousness now activated right now in our brains. We know it by the way it feels. We can feel the electricity flowing in different quadrants of the brain. Now, that's how we teach this. We recreate the sensations and let the students then identify with it, and we show them how then to get there to it. All right. So as we radiate this out there into the future and stuff, and everybody's standing up, loose stance, pay attention to what it feels like in your fingertips. Also pay attention to your balance. See, the neat thing about what we're doing here and us being able to reverse the electrical polarity of this field, it sets up what we call electrical gravity waves. So we're able to start pulling forwards on people and then reversing it and pushing them backwards. So when we're doing our healing sessions, whether it be one-on-one or on large groups of people, all we're doing is electrically stimulating the electrical nervous systems in everybody, and it causes your systems to start mimicking what ours is doing to cause these effects. And so if you're in pain, hurting, or whatever like that, your systems start functioning and removes the pain. So Lihi, let's pull forwards on everybody. So we're setting up a straight DC negative field. So that should have a forward pull on everybody just a little bit, making you lean up on your toes. Okay, now we're going to let off. We're reversing the electrical polarity and we're pushing now. So this should give everybody a little gentle push backwards. I don't know if you can feel it, Paul, but we can see it in the video of you moving.
I can feel it.
Mm-hmm. So we just set up these reversing polarity waves, and these reversing polarity waves triggers everybody's healing systems to start functioning. Plus, it allows us to charge. In a sense, we treat everybody like they have batteries. So in a sense, we're able to couple in and charge your batteries up so that your healing systems then have the power to function with. We don't have to worry about heal this, do that for that for that, and that for that. We do the same thing all the way across the board for any ailment that we basically come across. And then Lihi adds the extra mental aspect to it for the mental consciousness part of it.
Right. So it's basically also being open with your heart softened and relaxed. So you're not holding, because in order to enter this state, in order to enter this state, you need to kind of rest the one level of consciousness, so that one level of awareness. So just kind of rest, and you have to, it's not about thinking, it's not about expectations, it's not about opinions. It's just being in pure sensation and pure awareness. And that's how it heals.
Okay, so let's everybody sit down now, because that got everybody locked in good. And so as we continue our show here, we'll also keep this electrical energy turned on, and you'll feel different warming and tinglings and different effects as we talk and do other things.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Because there's an energy field that's occurring right now here.
Yeah, I definitely felt that. I definitely felt that. I could feel that pull, that gravity, like I'm on a floor that's tilting forward. You could just feel it.
That's what it feels like. I describe it when I'm telling people the first time, if you could imagine what it feels like to stand up in a boat in a pond that's still water, and then a little ways away, a bigger boat goes by and it creates those waves, little rockings. And that's what it feels like. You're like nearly being rocking in a boat.
Right.
Huh.
And so that effect will work on things like emotional, mental health. That'll work on neuropathy. It works on stroke. It works on chronic pain. We work with children with autism. It don't matter. Everything across the board. Relationships. And so by applying this energy, the client, you or whoever we're doing for, it wakes up your systems and we become interactive with it.
Yeah, so you're not just dealing with what's here, with what you see visually, you know what I mean? From the eyes here, you're seeing much, much more, but you're not you're letting it stream. It's a vaster way. So you're moving backwards and forwards. What's moving you? It's the universe. It's beyond. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
so it's not, you're not in resistance anymore.
It kind of feels like now we do the Zoom group meetings each week. We have a couple of different meetings each week, and they're like healing sessions.
Yeah.
So people come in there and we move them and we charge them up. And seems like the more people that we get in there doing it, the stronger it is for everyone.
Right.
Do you see this research segueing into other opportunities, and if these other opportunities are out there, what type of fields or what type of implications do you see this?
Well, I mean, this has great effects not only in the healing field, but it also has great effects in farming, in plant growth.
Yeah.
We can create these electrical energies around even house plants, for example, and they will just start growing and producing like crazy.
Yeah. It's an unveiling, really, because it's everything. This energy is everything. So every moment is we're utilizing this, and we're just being it because we are it.
Yeah. It's like we're reactivating something that's been shut off because of the establishment to help us, to help everything, to help the planet, to help our consciousness, to help our being, to help the plants, getting back in reconnecting to source with everything that we're sharing this planet with.
Yes.
Totally, and beyond. In alignment. In total alignment, the planet wouldn't be going through all this right now.
Yeah.
We believe the animals and plants and everything all share a different level of consciousness. And so we're basically merging in with every life form on the planet.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And this begs a question too. It looks like this research that you're doing and that you've been doing is the precipice. This is the new technology that is leading us into the age of Aquarius. This new age, this fifth dimension, this fifth plus dimension arena that we're merging into.
Right. And that's what it is. And it appears here now at this point in time, it doesn't appear very nice visually with what's going on with all the things, with the war and illness and this and that, but if you use that one level of consciousness, it's horrible, but if you start to kind of open up into this state and start to discover these energies, you start to see that this is the transition.
Yeah.
So
have you seen any resistance to any other? I may have asked this, but probably in a different way before, but I'll probably just reiterate on it. But have you seen resistance in other than the religious communities? Have you seen any resistance to this specifically because of, well, we're not going to research this, or we don't want to touch this because this is taboo, or anything?
I have seen that, sure have, and stuff, but not in the science world and stuff, but it's clearly in the religious world. I get chastised pretty heavily sometimes.
Well, some universities are resistant to it.
Well, they're opening up
now. They're opening up.
See, we have big universities, well-known universities with well-known doctors writing and publishing peer-reviewed scientific journal papers about it. So we've got the evidence to back us up here.
And that's important because people need that. It's not who,
So we're in
the metaphysical community, the metaphysical scientific metaphysical community has been shunned for a long time. They call it pseudoscience. It's not real science.
Right.
But I tell you what, within the last decade, I mean, look at the stuff that CERN is doing in Switzerland. And Monroe, like you said, the Monroe Institute, and all these other, the SPR in the UK, all the research that they're doing, it's phenomenal. But it's still.
And we're in the infancy stages. We're in the infancy stages still. That's how remarkable it is. It's like, but this is really just gonna be. This is gonna be like, whoa, antiquated, and but it's the opening.
Yeah,
the infancy stages are very important. That's how it builds.
Like when we started out in paranormal investigation, when I first started getting into it, it's like, I, in the back of my mind, I'm going, pretty soon paranormal investigation is not going to exist. It's going to be mainstream science. And we're like, we know how that happens, So
I mean,
even now than we used to.
Even Dr. Levengood's original studies were considered a little hokey pokey kind of. off in that persuadal science. But then as we started presenting evidence and measurable evidence, it started shifting. So the scientific evidence there clearly shows that there is an electrical energy, an electrical aspect to this energy we're producing.
Yeah.
That's why they love us to come do the research studies. When me and Lihi walk into a laboratory, they get results.
So could you imagine people, lots of people and thousands and hundreds of thousands experiencing this? Okay, so then you're one with source, living as a human being in sensation, in taste, in a way to realize who you really are. So we're source. There's one movement of source appearing as the many, and it's all because of not really kind of accessing all the different brain functions, all the different aligning, all the energy centers. So imagine that. So it's like you can't even imagine, because it's unimaginable how this. So when you ask the question, do you see where the opportunities unfold? It's really a knowing, but it's not knowing exactly how it's going to appear.
Yeah.
So
Tell you, consciousness studies. That's why years ago I called this Conscious Radio Network, because I just continuously love the study of it. And getting into, I started working on a model, but I can share that with you guys off the air and stuff like that, because there's times when you were mentioning connecting to source, I'll separate myself and go into the astral and start looking at things in from another dimension, from another way, another area. And we're all these individuals, us individually, are like these nodes, all these different nodes. We're all connected. We're on this web, like the Matrix, so to speak.
it is, yeah.
And but we need to see each other as these nodes and this connectivity that, I might not be connected to my neighbor, but I'm connected to somebody miles away. And it's amazing. And I saw it. Yeah.
Right. And there's so much that's going on in the invisible and in the unseen that we are not bringing on. And it's not to put it into our little heads and conceptualize it.
Yeah.
It's really, there's so much more that's going on. Us just appearing here, being here together, how we met, how we did, it doesn't matter. But when you start to really open up to, that's when the mystery starts to unfold.
Yeah. You have to understand, up until basically the research done on me and Lihi here, they considered human life existing in one level of consciousness only. If you're awake, you're here in alpha. If you're asleep and you go deep sleep, you're down in theta. But up until we come along, they never had encountered any humans operating simultaneously at all levels of consciousness in real time.
And that's why I'm here with Ed, because I know it with him. There's no limit. It's infinite. When we first met over 4 years ago, I knew, it was a knowing. I looked at him, I felt it, and I knew it. So it's because, I see people's limitations, and I see also there, and it doesn't mean that there's no, you still have to make it.
Yeah.
That energy just blew it right out.
Yeah. I was about to say, that's proof it's working.
I mean, that happens, and like I do a lot of private sessions over the telephone, and normally it'll drop the call 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
With people.
I had a weird incident last night. I was doing a recording last night with a guest out in Arizona, and about 5 or 10 minutes into it, it was a clear sky. There was no rain clouds, no storm, and suddenly a bolt of lightning came down very close to the house. And I'm going, what is that? And I still, having the monitors in my ear. It's like, but it's like, and he's like, just to warn you, strange stuff happens when I'm on the air with people.
Yeah. I learned not to do energy sessions on people when they have a thunderhead over their house.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
It draws lightning in like crazy.
And what's even more scarier, when he told me off the air that he lives across the street from Fort Huachuca in Arizona, and you know what Fort Huachuca is, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the
Yes.
institute where the industrial military complex does their psychic studies.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That's so strange. I went to a couple of Air Force military bases and I tried to get in. I've tried to get in the DARPA programs,
Oh, yeah.
but they still don't want to look at this.
Hmm.
Or they want to have their own systems and not let the people on the outside think that they're doing
Yeah.
it.
You probably talked to the wrong guys. They weren't the black book people. You need to go to the black
Yeah.
book.
I've tried for years to get on government studies because we've got the backgrounds already with the universities there, but
Yeah.
they're just not into it yet.
I'm sure somebody's watching you.
They're into
I'm
it in
sure.
probably a more covert
But
way.
you haven't tried it in
Yeah.
a while. Things
Yeah.
have changed
Yeah.
tremendously
Mhm.
in the last few years.
And there might be a stage where they see that you're so connected into the public sector that they're like, we'll let that be. Let's
Could be.
leave that sleeping
Right.
dog lie until, they'll
Right.
pick a moment.
Yeah, I mean, I've had some fun with them in the past. I've been on different radio shows, and I was on one show one night, and they had some military people in there that claimed to be inside Cheyenne Mountain listening to it. And
Yeah.
they asked if that signal I was generating to push and pull people would work in there, and yeah, lit them right
Wow.
up.
Wow.
Uh-huh.
Now, let's get into extraterrestrial energy.
Okay, I had one encounter.
Yeah. Let's
Mhm.
yeah, out of the frying pan and into the fire.
Okay, well, like I said, I had a grandmother that reinforced these energies. She did hands-on healing. So I've, basically known about it since birth because anytime as a tiny little kid I would fall and get hurt, she would do the energy on me and I could feel the tingling in my body and the pains would just go away instantly. So
Yeah.
I was already starting to play with the energy a little. Then in 1964, I was 6 years old. My mom and dad, and I had a 3-year-old brother. Uh, we lived in a very rural little country town, and they had friends they went to school with, had a little restaurant, and their family with a little car lot out in the middle of the woods there in my northeast Georgia mountains.
Isn't that funny? That was the as well.
Oh, yes. Same year she was born, probably the same moment she was born.
That's
But
what it's interesting. Yeah.
Could be.
yeah,
Yeah.
so we were out there eating, and then I told my mom and dad I wanted to go outside and play. I always liked to go to that car lot next door, which had all these old A model cars in it, and T models, and it was old cars back then. And
Yeah.
they wouldn't lock the doors. I'd get up in them, blow the horns, play with them, 6-year-old kid.
Yeah.
That one night there, I was headed over to the car lot. I saw this orange pulsating glow. Like I thought it was just a bonfire or something burning over there behind the building. So I go up through the rows of cars, then I turn left and I go back over there toward it. And all of a sudden I come out where it was at, and it was a funny looking car glowing and pulsating orange looking. And then right there standing beside it were these 4 funny looking characters, beings. Now, let me explain just a little bit so you understand. If you've ever saw that movie Deliverance and you saw the kid that played the banjos, the dueling
Yeah.
banjos, I went to
Yeah.
school with him. I
Wow.
knew him in preschool. That was filmed there in my county.
Yeah.
So Billy looked really weird as a little kid. He had no eyebrows. He had kind of an expanded face and all. He looked really weird. So when I walked up on these 4 funny looking kids, I thought it was just like his family or something like his family, because basically there in the Appalachian Mountains, there was a little bit of inbreeding going on,
Yeah.
and that's what Billy was and stuff. And so they looked really handicapped funny. But you know, being that young, I had no clue of aliens, UFOs. It was unspoken. It was in Southern Baptist territory, so we'd never even heard those terms or anything.
Yeah.
So here's these four funny looking kids, and I felt just as, you know, comfortable with them as I do Billy and all the other kids. But all of a sudden I started hearing them in my head, but they weren't moving their mouths.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I mean, we're standing right there within 4 or 5 feet of each other.
Yeah.
And then it's like I was watching a fast going video in my head, just boom, 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 boom. And it was like them downloading all this information. Then they started playing with the energy, making me pull forwards and backwards. They showed me how to change the electrical polarities in my brain to create these effects. And basically, they said, just practice this, practice only this, and everything else will come, basically. And so I started, you know, I knew the energy and all everything then, but I started practicing what they showed me. And I could feel it. I could feel it in my hands. You know, like when we were standing up and pulling you back and forth, I can feel the resistance in my hands and in the fields of energy around me. And that's what they taught me how to recreate. So they took what I was just randomly playing with as electrical energy that my grandma had kept alive in me, and then they showed me how to hone into it. Basically, they handed me the operator's manual to it, in a sense.
Right.
So they really helped me evolve big time right there. And we stood there and played and talked, you know, or did this mind talking and stuff for about 15 minutes. And then my mom and dad hollered, said, "Come on, we got to go." And I just looked at them. They just like said bye, like we said bye, kind of. And I just run on back to my mom and dad. We drove out of there. We got about a half mile down the road, and all of a sudden there was this bright orange flash come up behind us and then went out across the sky. My dad goes, "Wow, there goes a meteor."
Wow.
And I knew better. It wasn't a meteor. It was my buddies I just met right there. That little orange A model car they was driving flew.
Wow.
You know, so that's, I mean, that was, and it was real. And I've played with those things they taught me there my whole life. And that's what's developed it into where we're at now. Now, they downloaded just bukus of stuff into my head. And that stuff is still coming out like deja vu effects here in today, even.
It's like they're teaching us. The extraterrestrial entities are trying to teach us how to unlock these abilities. We all have them, like we said. We all have them. It's just they're trying to teach us to unlock them.
And he would not have been able to connect to it if he didn't. If he wasn't with that energy from your grandma.
From my grandma.
Because otherwise, we would be shut down. You would not be able to meet that consciousness.
And so those, I believe that with my grandma's keeping raising me like that, that helped to initiate this contact with them.
And that's how they recognized you. They recognized that you had that gift. It's like, this is somebody we can work with. Yeah,
exactly. They could feel it from me. And then they just basically showed me how to actually control it. And once I learned at 6 years old, and I learned the control mechanisms of it, then I started playing with all my other friends, my kids, and everything, all the way growing up through life from there on. I just played with that energy. You know, it was fun to sit in the back of the classroom and cause the teacher to sway back and forth at the chalkboard.
Yeah.
It was fun to tickle the girl in the front row seat up there and me sitting in the back. You know, I did all kind of fun. Then all my buddies and everything, they nicknamed me. I had my nicknames growing up was Radioactive, Electric Eddie, just different names like that. Everybody knew I could do these things.
Now, that's the thing. There was probably two groups. There were probably two groups of friends. There were the friends that actually embraced it, but you probably had people that were scared of it and just, you know, they would become the bullies.
Yes, all in the same thing. Yeah, the bullies wanted to pick on me. You know, and I finally learned that this has a defense mechanism to it. And then when I was in the 3rd grade, I learned to activate the defense side of it. And I did something for them bullies one day there, and they didn't mess with me anymore.
What'd you do? I'm curious.
Okay, the human body is electrical. Everything in the body is electrical. Okay, I got really scared one day because here come 5 of the bullies at me and everything, and I just started shaking, scared, knowing that they was gonna beat up on me or something like that.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, I started feeling electricity traveling back and forth through me. I wasn't
Like
sure
the
what.
Incredible Hulk.
Like what?
The Incredible Hulk.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
not with the Incredible Hulk,
Kind of.
but I could feel this electricity flowing through me. Here come the bullies. All of a sudden, they got within about 8 feet of me, 10 to 8 feet of me. All of a sudden, they went to screaming, hollering, and I wasn't sure what happened until I could see that their pants was getting wet. It electrically caused their bladders to release when
Ooh.
they were thinking about attacking me. And when that started happening, they didn't want to attack me anymore. They run toward the bathroom, and I got out of there.
Wow.
So everything's electric. Everything in the human body operates off of an electrical signal. It's just a matter of getting the right frequency, the right energy frequency, to then be able to use it to help someone that's their systems is not functioning right. So if you've got a condition, cancer or any conditions in your body, it's just a matter of altering and flicking and reestablishing your energy connections in your body, and then your body will cause a healing systems to kick in and fix whatever problems are.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. That, man. The current research right now, is there anything that you guys are both working on that it might be the
We're
next step? What's
the
coming?
next Okay, I mean, they've studied our brains, they see all these different things. We're getting ready to start medical research. See, one of our bigger things that got me noticed and everything, which they found out about, which on the Ancient Aliens show, was how I generate this electrical energy, and when I apply it to people that have nervous systems disorders, problems, things like neuropathy or dead, numb hands and fingers. When I get around people like that, I turn this energy on. I can feed it backwards, like through the fingertips or the toe tips, and it causes the myelin sheath on the nervous systems to repair very fast. And then they start regaining use of their systems. They get sensations of feeling back in just
Yeah.
minutes or so in some people.
Huh. Wow. Yeah, that's a medical breakthrough right there. So you're seeing this as being something that I don't know, I would say released to the masses, the public. I mean, it's still in its infancy, correct?
Yeah, because there's a bridge that needs to
Yeah.
there's a bridge.
Yeah.
And I really feel like I'm the bridge because I know the cesspool of this humanity, in a
Yeah.
sense that, I mean, I mean, I'm not trying to make fun of it, but it's like we lost our way.
Yeah.
And I've
Yeah.
kind of, done my human work, in a sense. And in order to get into this place, into this, and do it on your own, you need to really release all the constraints that you put on yourself, all the hurts, all the pains, emotional, mental, physical. And because we're attached to it, you cannot have an identity with this energy. You
Yeah.
cannot be attached, identified, or associated. That's very hard when you're programmed, when the brain just goes,
Yeah. Stepping away from the ego.
You know what I mean? Come on. I mean, meditation is it helps to that, but this is beyond meditation. This is about being it at every moment in your life. It's not just going to a certain time period and saying, "Oh, I meditated," and it's great
Yeah.
too. But this is the next level, because you're at every time you meet or connect with something, you're always connected with source, with whatever you're meeting. So that's when you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know how it's going to unfold. You don't know what you're going to discover.
Yeah.
Our minds create what we think is going to happen, what we want to happen, what we need to happen. This is not about needing and wanting. This is about allowing. And so all that part, if you're in resistance and this and that of it, because you still want to hold on to whatever it is that you've been attached to, it's not going to allow you to go to that space. So there's a mechanism that really, it's like the caterpillar to the butterfly. The butterfly has no relationship with the caterpillar. It's done. And this is the same thing, and so it's really, so the more we practice, the more human beings that indulge in this, in the consciousness of this, the more it's going to be a different landscape here.
Oh yeah.
And a totally different landscape. And who even knows? I mean, it's going to be, I mean, we may even be one with everything. I mean, we will be one with everything, but alien consciousness will be here. It won't be a thing. It will just be. It won't be a story like, oh, you met an alien, or, an ET, or it'll just be. It'll be.
It looks like,
transparency. Mm-hmm.
It looks like this type of research too is going to segue into technologies like the med beds. I keep hearing about the med beds, but do you see this type of research that you guys are doing will help companies out there to build this type of technology for healing?
Why build technology for healing when you got it built in your own head?
Yeah, exactly.
But the side effect, it does show up in your reality.
Yeah. But you've got establishments and companies out there that want to take this research and go, hey, we can make money off of this.
And there is a lot of that that's
essentially,
going on.
Essentially this is all bioelectrical.
Yeah, but that stuff they're cherry picking names out of research and then calling homemade little devices a biophoton this or a photon this or a quantum regenerator. They ain't doing.
Yeah, but that's what I'm talking about. They're still utilizing their one level of consciousness to get there.
One level conscious thinking.
Again, that's the same thing that's getting this is about truth, authenticity, love, and being reclaiming your birthright.
Yeah.
So if we teach this in children and stuff, and they develop these same abilities as Lihi and I have and everything, you don't need anything out there.
Yeah.
You've got everything built into you if you know how to turn it on and utilize it and get out of that one level of conscious thinking and get on up there to the advanced human that you really are. You're designed. You have this system in your head that is super advanced design.
And that's what's amazing too, is like all this extraterrestrial type technology that's out there that we've been catching little bits and pieces of is, the technology is very advanced, but it's simple. They don't need the technology. We are the technology.
That's exactly. We're more than any computer that's been built. We just that's really what it is.
So that's what we're doing, is teaching people how to utilize their own abilities and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I can teach you how to, in just a few hours there, how to start to generate energy in your brain that you can reapply to your body if you have problems, pains, sicknesses, and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's just a matter of utilizing and firing up all them levels of consciousness simultaneously so that you can then become that advanced being and work on yourself or work on others. It's all you need.
Yeah.
Creator put some very advanced stuff up here in our head that no one is using.
I mean, this is a major gift to be here.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
And you could do whatever you want with the gift. That's So it's really about really accessing that.
Now you guys both teach people how to harness and unlock this energy, and this ability. And can you explain a little bit more than that?
Okay, it starts off, I learned a long time ago with my research with Dr. William Levingood and Dr. John Getty, where they were doing the electrical studies on me, where they figured out that my brain, when I was under command, I was generating measurable electrical energy. So I learned in my beginner courses there, I call it restarting the brain generator. So you had this generator running when you were a little bitty kid, but when you got into about the first or second grade and they kept telling you as imaginary things, don't play with that, this and that, the whole idea was to shut that generator off, to turn it off. You turn that generator off, then none of the other brain functions will work if you can't produce electrical energy to present to them.
Yeah.
And so the beginning course is restarting the brain generator. I developed a technique where I teach people how to focus their brains, focus in there on them, and move energy back and forth. You want to, like I said, we're whole brain. Me and Lihi are whole brain. We're not stuck in one level of consciousness like everybody else. So everybody else in the one level of consciousness, oh, I'm right brain. Oh, I'm left brain.
Yeah.
What? So that just says you're a primitive human. I'm whole brain.
Oh.
you know. So if your whole brain, you're not left and right brain. That's both sides of the brain working in harmony back and forth.
And it'll probably change the physical.
Yeah, it changes everything. It makes you feel really healthy all the time, pretty much.
Also makes you wonder, you know, through the art through all this archaeological history, you know, all the ancients have the elongated skulls and stuff, and you wonder, well, maybe the size of the brain, they were using a lot more of it, and it required a larger space. I don't know.
Possibly, but I don't see. I just see that it maybe just a evolving as humans evolved there. That was just one aspect of evolution there.
Yeah.
And this will also evolve once people are starting to use it.
More people that we can get to reawaken their initial their abilities, then our whole psychic of the world will change.
Yeah.
And you know, and once you access these levels, you don't just talk about it, intellectualize it. You kind of, it just comes, it comes through, and you know it now. You know what it means to be in the moment. You know what it means to be timeless. It's not just saying it from that place, because you realize every moment is a lifetime in a way. It's just so vast. And then you start to kind of not have such agendas, the anxiety, all these control mechanisms that bring you the frustration. You're not in that space anymore, because you're constantly moving with what is. This is an isness of coming through, you know. It sounds a lot of people are talking about it, but this is really it, you know, when you're accessing all these levels at the same time.
Now, if people want to take these courses, they can go to the website, www.
Yeah, they go, and we're right now reestablishing and redoing our whole BIRE conscious site. So I've got to set up the classes and stuff in there. Then we're setting up a program to teach live classes. Now, the restarting the brain generator can be done through the video class that I've got there. But the more advanced stuff that me and Lihi do, we need to have you in person. We not physically, but through Zoom or through a platform that we can communicate through. So when we teach the students, once we got the students already getting their brain generators restarted, then we can get on Zoom like this, like we demonstrated a while ago, but do things with the students so that they can literally feel in their brains, in different parts of their brains. And then we teach them how to focus on that and then how to fire that up. Once they get it all fired up, then it's just some simple little things to show them how to practice that they will then greatly improve upon.
And then you're able to discern when you're not being totally who you are, coming from ego. You know what I mean? You're able to see, oh my God, I'm acting from an agenda. I'm acting from an itinerary. I'm acting for just me, you know, whatever it may be. And then you kind of just drop it. And then you let the natural movement occur.
Yeah.
The natural flow. So it's really remarkable, you know.
It's and that's
it's
why
so
I do this show,
for me, because I've always known this. And to have a voice now, to be able to present it in some kind of format, there was nowhere to navigate. Everything was so tight here, and such a low density here. I mean, I went through every which way I could, and I would do my own. I could see my path in life now, where I was coming from. You know what I mean? Now in this state of, you know, being. So it's remarkable.
Yeah, I would like it, but then I need to have substance to it, but I needed it in the form of science.
Yeah. And I had it in the form of practice.
So we got to take these. We got to take these scientific disciplines that are out there and bring them in, pull them into the group, and let's look at this in every different aspect or discipline in the scientific community.
Yes, and that's what we're doing finally. We have the researchers now that are open-minded enough that they built instrumentation, and once we were able to affect it on a regular basis and everything, it clearly proves that we're doing something that was more than the basic human was doing. You know? Yeah. And so now that we've got past that door, we opened the door. So now we got because we got like Monroe and UVA and all these big, well-known research centers studying us, that's opening the door up now for other places, for other research studies that's legitimate.
Yeah.
I like working with accredited research organizations. If you're accredited, if you have a university backing your name up, that makes you a lot more presentable, more real than just out here out in the blow saying that, okay, I got a funny little box says you're doing funny little things.
Yeah.
I got doctors up here saying, well, this part of your brain is running at these frequencies, and this part of your brain is running at them frequencies, and we're understanding how the neural network is running together. That's serious research.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You know, they're looking in our brain. They plug 128 wires in my head when we do the big studies up at UVA.
Wow.
And then I kick back in a recliner, and I have to they have cameras aimed at me. And even if I bat my eyes or anything, they have to pull that data run out of the thing. I have to sit there in total motionless. And then as the computer says focus, I turn my brain on. And when it says relax, I turn my brain off.
Yeah.
And then they look at the readings coming out of my head. They look at readings coming out of the instruments inside the Faraday cage. And they didn't tell me in the beginning. They also were looking at readings happening 8 floors above me, 4 floors below me, and a half mile on the other side of the university. I didn't know anything about those instruments at all.
Yeah.
And anytime they'd have me turn my energy on, they saw measurable data come in from all the sensors.
And that's evidence that things are happening in the unseen that we're not aware of.
And see, that's the way science should be, is you have to set up these control groups.
Yes.
You have to set up these control groups and, and analyze that data.
Yeah, they wouldn't tell me for the first year and a half. I didn't know anything about my brain doing all levels of consciousness or anything. The first pilot study there, they would not tell me what they were seeing. They said, well, let's just see if it happens again the next time you come. So I went every 2 months for 3 to 5 days up there of studies. Yeah. And it just kept getting stronger and stronger. And then they finally went public about it, what they were seeing.
Wow.
So,
man,
that's what's phenomenal is that we're building a community on our on our website. So it'll be people that are in exchange of all this.
That's right. On the BIRE conscious site, I've created what looks like Facebook type community, but we control it all. No Facebook algorithm, none of that other stuff. So you can set up it looks like Facebook. You set it up, but then you can communicate and interact with us in there.
Nice.
And that builds. I mean,
yeah. Well, Conscious Radio Network would be more than happy to come in on the community and kind of help you guys out and kind of help publish some work and help publish whatever it is that as you move forward in the research.
Love that.
We would love it very much. And if COVID hadn't slowed us down, see, when COVID kicked in, they shut down all the labs and everything. We haven't been to the lab. Last month we went back and did a study, and UVA Monroe's out to them yesterday, and they're going to be ready for us in about a month with in the Copper Wall Array Lab on top of Roberts Mountain. Ross has ordered and got grant money and ordered 4 more electrometers, magnetic flux gate systems. We've already got the 4 random number generators there. The RNGs are running, and they have cosmic ray detectors. They've got flux gate magnetometers. So when we're doing our studies, we're seeing how many different types of instrumentation, scientific instrumentation, we can create measurable results in. We're getting phenomenal. Well, I've got videos on our BIRE Conscious site there on the home page, main page. You can see of Lihi hooked up to it and how she brings her body's electrical voltage up. We're reading it on an electrometer there, and she's inside the Faraday, not Faraday, but the Copper Wall Array, which is a super shielded lab and stuff. And so when they clip a little thing on either our earlobe or around our ankle that studies and monitors the electricity that we build up in our bodies. So when we're in this BIRE state here, we can increase the electrical fields in our bodies up to 50, 60, 70 volts in there and stuff, or even more. They believe we can take it way on more. The average person is running about 20 millivolts if they're healthy.
Yeah.
They've had a couple other people been able to bring it up to 3 volts DC in there through meditations and stuff. But with me and Lihi, we blast past 50 volts DC in a hurry.
So that begs my next question is, have you tried to actually physically pass a charge from one person to the next, meaning that one finger and you can actually see the
people are wired up.
Yeah.
And so the studies we're setting up and doing, they take a subject that might have a medical condition, and then they have us wired up, and then they wire the patient up, and then we project our work on them, and they study the physiological changes in the patient in real time.
And increase their voltage.
Yeah. We there at the Monroe Institute, we did some studies where we took different members of the staff, and a couple of them had cancer and a couple of problems. And when they hooked them up to the electrometers in the lab, those that had medical problems were running a negative DC voltage coming out of their body. Basically, they were just tapping their batteries and just draining their batteries. Because if they're not running their BIRE brains, they're not generating energy. Me and Lihi generate life force energy, which is what we utilize to make and do things with. And that causes our aging processes to slow down. That causes all kinds of great effects for us.
Yeah.
So when we put a person that's sick, like between us, or that we're focusing on, we'll take their voltages from a negative DC up to a positive 20, 22 volts while we're working on them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And by
I've always viewed the human body as this big capacitor. And
that's exactly what it is.
And then when we turn on this generator, we're now activating the PLC circuit, the programmable logic control.
Exactly.
Which is now, and then the brain is part of that network, and then controlling that energy.
That's exactly what we are, and that's the whole idea. And that's what our whole idea of the BIRE consciousness is, to reawaken these abilities in people, show them what they really are. And it's fun to get a hold of autistic children. Get autistic children and turn this energy on, and it's like, wow, they come out of the box.
They can't function here. Right.
Yeah.
Out of the box, it's
we start having great effects with them.
Have you it's an idea, but it just hit my brain. I wonder if this is something that Elon Musk would be interested in helping study or fund some of the studying, because one, I wouldn't say he suffers from, but he has admitted that he
has Asperger's.
He has Asperger's.
Mm-hmm.
And because of his level of science and knowledge and genius,
right?
If this is something that he may have,
it is possible. I've got a contact in his organization that has already wanted to try to introduce us to him.
Mm-hmm.
So we're in kind of that process right now. Getting introductions sometimes takes a long time.
Right, but also the more we build, the more people will know about us, and the more people are going to be seeking us at that point. You know, that's what I'm saying. You don't know how it's going to unfold. Or unbend, as you say.
Yeah, there's so many different communities out there that you don't know where your niche is going to be within those.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just moving.
So we're just trying to help as many people as we can, teach as many people as we can, and stir them up, wake them up.
Yeah.
Light them up.
Whew.
Gosh, I got her using my terminology now.
Light them up.
Oh, man,
Those words just do it for me. I can walk up to somebody and they'll be yabba da 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 da, and I'll just crank the energy up, and they'll break out in a rolling sweat right there in front of me. I said, that's how I light you up.
Yeah. Wow.
So that's what me and Lihi do. I mean, we can walk up to you. We can get up on a stage in front of a group of people, and 30 seconds later have most of them in there feeling the energy and moving them around and stuff.
Wow. I was in one of those rooms. This was 7 years ago. I don't know, maybe earlier than that. This is a little while. It's been a little while. Well, at least 5 years. When you're here in Orlando.
Yeah, oh yeah, I
Yeah.
remember. Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
So
fun
I
to
can
do it in
vouch.
person.
And you see somebody complete, they're radiating then. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
They're radiating. They're like you see their essence. You know,
it's
it's
Yeah.
fun
yeah,
to light up people and activate their energy systems and watching them for the first time to go, oh wow, I am like, wow.
and then you just want more. You
Yeah.
know,
And then they
Yeah.
want more. And then that's all we do is just,
you're tapping into
when
yourself.
we teach our classes, we don't blah, 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 blah. It's all through experience. So we generate the energy. You feel it in different parts of your brain. We tell you where to look for, and then we start working with how to, for you to be able to recreate those effects.
Yeah.
And once
Yeah.
you can recreate them yourself in your own brain, then you can start playing with it and just doing all
Right.
kinds of things. Follow your intuition. That's your
Discover
best.
it and discover it for yourself.
That's right. Your intuition is your best teacher.
That's right.
Absolutely. That's all I use. Try to.
Tapping into that. Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Wow. So we have met our actually just a little over hour, but who cares? This is awesome information. That's what the show is for. And but I'm gonna close up the show, but I'll stay on. Stay logged in until after the show ends, and then we can talk about
Okay.
the
Yeah, maybe we can
other
do some
broadcasts.
sequels or follow-ups to this in the future for you.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
But you want to give one
yeah.
more quick demonstration, or
Yeah.
or
Absolutely.
then you can sew it in wherever.
Yeah. Yeah.
We'll do it. Let's just stay seating.
Yes.
Okay. So everybody, if you can, you don't have to, Paul, but everybody in the future out there, just kind of stand up, clear your minds, have your feet close together, and just be aware of everything. And let us take you through about a 30-second to a minute thing here.
Yeah, nice and relaxed, loose stance.
You may feel your body temperature increase a little. So we're radiating this BIRE out, and it's being recorded. Now, the energy itself is not being recorded. The energy is going into what Dr. Levengood called the quantum universe. So all this energy that me and you are doing is being stored over here in this invisible space. The audio here, in our voices, we carry a little signal that can't be heard by the human hearing, but the magnetic waves in it triggers your brains out there in the future to open this quantum universe door and receive the energy just like it were in real time here.
Yeah, I hear the microphone. Every now and then the microphone or the signal would like click in and out.
Yeah, that's it. So it affects instruments and stuff. It affects telephones. It messes with satellites. It's all kind of problems.
Yeah.
But it's fun.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
but so that's just a little quickie right there. If y'all come find us at BIRE Consciousness and then find our Zoom rooms, we do one right now currently on Monday evenings from 8 to 9 p.m. Eastern. And on Wednesday at 4 p.m., we do what we call the Hump Day Booster for 25 minutes.
Nice.
We got people all over the world with problems from neuropathy to autism to mental stress or anything. They'll come into any one of our groups, things like that, and they feel so much better afterwards.
Wow.
And it keeps on building.
Yeah, it keeps accumulating. The more they do it with us, the stronger and more effects they get.
Yeah.
So that's what.
Well, guys, I do appreciate it. It's been a wonderful show, and I'm gonna wrap it up. But thank you guys for being on our maiden voyage.
Yeah.
And
glad to be here. We'll get things rolling.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, and look at doing maybe a live show too, because I'll do the Monday night live weekly seance shows and stuff. If we got
okay, yeah, we can probably drop in.
Yeah.
Range it ahead of time. We will.
Yeah, cool. Well, let me wrap this up. Thank you everybody for watching Conscious Radio Network's Unlocking Mysteries of the Universe, and this is definitely a mystery, but we're unlocking it. Oh yeah.
Mhm.
If you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, please do. Click subscribe, like, share, comment, and you can find this show on Spotify, iHeart, and Google Podcasts, soon to be Apple Podcast. But other than that, thank you all for watching. You all have a good night, good evening, or good morning, wherever you are on this spaceship we call Earth. Thank you all.